To Action News.
Georgians were in the room asking questions today as former special counsel Robert Mueller testified before Congress.
Late this afternoon, President Trump said the Russia probe created a phony cloud over his administration, and he criticized Mueller's performance. Democrats say their investigation will continue. Channel 2's Justin Gray live from our Washington, D.C. bureau, where the lawmakers' questions, Justin, often more dramatic than really getting answers, perhaps.
Justin, mainly one-word answers or very short answers from Robert Mueller himself today. Only a couple times did he really speak in depth. Once defending his staff from charges of political bias, and then also later on in the day warning about Russian election interference and continued Russian election interference as we head into the next elections.
The president has repeatedly claimed that your report found there was no obstruction and that it completely and totally exonerated him. But that is not what your report said, is it?
Correct. It is not what the report said.
Possibly the biggest question in a full day of testimony is this one, the very first question asked. It was nearly 5 hours later in the second of two House hearings that Republican Mike Turner of Ohio came back to criticize that answer.
Now, Mr. Mueller, what you know is that this can't say Mueller exonerated Trump, because you don't have the power or authority to exonerate Trump.
For the most part, Democrats coordinated their questions throughout the hearing.
Let's turn now to the second element of the crime of obstruction of justice.
Let's turn to the fifth of the obstruction episodes in your report.
Working their way through the report's evidence on obstruction.
Despite facing unfair attacks by the president, and even here today, your work has been substantive and fair.
Mueller was deliberate, even slow to respond at times as he carefully stuck to the report. More than 100 times he either referred members of Congress to the text or said he could not legally answer the question.
I rely on the language of the report, and I would send you back to the report. As I said before, I'll say again, it's not my purview.
Mueller testified he never considered charging the president with a crime because a sitting president can't be charged. Republicans claimed that was unfair to President Trump.
Didn't you publish a lengthy report unfairly airing the target's dirty laundry without recommending charges?
I disagree with that.
Mueller also testified multiple times that a president could be charged with a crime after leaving office. Reporting live in Washington, Justin Gray, Channel 2 Action News.
All right, Justin, thank you.
Now, our producers spent the day monitoring the president's Twitter account. This is a tweet from before the hearing. He wrote, "So Democrats and others can illegally fabricate a crime, try pinning it on a very innocent president, and when he fights back against this illegal and treasonous attack on our country, they call it obstruction? Wrong. Why didn't Robert Mueller investigate the investigators?" Then later this afternoon, he tweeted, "I would like to thank the Democrats for holding this morning's hearing. Now, after 3 hours, Robert Mueller has to subject himself to shifty shift and embarrassment to our country."
Now, we told you 3 Georgians were part of that Judiciary committee which questioned Robert Mueller today.
And they include Democrats Hank Johnson and Lucy McBath, as well as Republican ranking member Doug Collins. He aggressively questioned Mueller. Channel 2's Richard Elliott is live in our newsroom with a deeper look at the questions today. Richard.
Democrats wanted to emphasize the possibility the president obstructed justice. Republicans wanted to cast the investigation as politically motivated. And as you said, 3 Georgia lawmakers were in the middle of it all. Former special counsel Robert Mueller walked into the crowded hearing room ready to answer questions from both Democrats and Republicans on the House Judiciary Committee.
We are here to ask serious questions about Mr. Mueller's work, and we will do that.
Democrats control the committee, but the ranking Republican is Gainesville Congressman Doug Collins, a staunch Trump supporter. In countering the Democrats' charge that the president tried to obstruct Mueller's investigation, Collins pointed out that the investigation was allowed to continue.
The president's attitude toward the investigation was understandably negative. Yet the president did not use his authority to close the investigation.
DeKalb Democratic Congressman Hank Johnson tried to get Mueller to talk more about how he believes the only reason the president didn't close the investigation is because his staff stopped him.
And in other words, Director Mueller, the White House counsel told the president that if he tried to remove you, that could be another basis to allege that the president was obstructing justice, correct?
That is generally correct, yes.
North Fulton Congresswoman Lucy McBath used her time to thank Mueller for his work.
In less than 2 years, your team was able to uncover an incredible amount of information related to Russia's attack on our elections and to obstruction of justice.
And as you heard, Mueller also testified before the House Intelligence Committee this afternoon. No Georgians on that committee. We're live in the newsroom. Richard Elliott, Channel 2.